It's your Lord, Leech Lord, and I've decided to start a series about the small things in Transformers More Than Meets the Eye that could be missed. MTMTE has so many little things in it that you can miss no matter how many times you read it. By the way, this video is inspired by Annie Austin, so go watch his videos. Major spoiling warnings for the entirety of More Than Meets the Eye. Do not watch this if you haven't read it. Let's start with the cover of issue 1. It's a parody of the cover of Justice League International's first issue. This is such an iconic cover and has been parodied many times, including with other IDW comics. Rodimus is in Guy Gardner's spot, Rewind in Captain Marvel's or Shazam's place, Rung in Dr. Fate's, Ultra Magnus in Batman's, Chrome Dome where Blue Beetle stands, Red Alert in Martian Manhunter's spot, Drift in Dr. Light's place, Cyclonus for Black Canary, Ratchet for Mr. Miracle, last but not least, Whirl in Oberon's space. The characters don't really correspond with each other, except maybe Magnus with Batman, because they're the straight man and serious, but it's kind of a stretch. By the way, go read Justice League International, it's really good. Starting off with the actual comic, Prowl is the first character to go... Congrats, Prowl. Too bad you're such an asshole in this. I don't even know if I did that the sound correctly. Next is Ratchet and Bumblebee's conversation before Ratchet leaves. When Ratchet is looking over a body, it transforms post-mortem. Quickly reading through this, you can miss that Ratchet actually calls it rigor mortis instead of rigor mortis, a human word. When Bumblebee is trying to convince Ratchet to stay, he mentions that Drift writes Rodimus' speeches for him. Then, when Ratchet is explaining that he's leaving for the journey, he says, "You and I know that not everyone's accounted for. A lot of Autobots are still out there and some of them could be injured. Maybe I can help them and maybe I can find a successor in that process." And that's exactly what happens. He finds first aid and Velocity on his journey, his successors. The foreshadowing in this comic is insane. Going to 6 million years ago, Tailgate is stuck in a hole. He runs a preliminary damage report and it says, "You're an idiot." I just want to know how this happened. How can a damage report call someone an idiot? That just shows how amazing Cybertronian biology is. In the final damage report, we see that Tailgate's transformation cog is misplaced. In issues 2 and 3, Tailgate tries to transform but gets stuck. I always assumed it was because he was in a hole for 6 million years, but not because something was actually wrong with his T-cog. The 6 million year gap could also be added to why he couldn't have transformed. It certainly couldn't have helped. When Red Alert is checking the crew members onto the ship, he tells Brainstorm that he doesn't want to let the most famous weapons engineer onto the ship without checking his bags. Brainstorm quips that Red Alert must have been reading his Autopedia entry. I looked up Autopedia and it's an actual wiki for cars with really awful design. Personally, I only care for cars if they transform into cool robots, but it seems like a good website for car people. Going to Ultra Magnus, Rodimus, and Drift, I really like this panel showing Magnus's vision. Magnus's summary for Rodimus says, "Rodimus dreams of being heroic and important, tends not to follow rules too closely, means well, but his impulsive actions often get him into trouble. Can be hot-headed. Risk of future criminal activity variable." Magnus's summary for Drift reads, "Drift, ex-Decepticon, resist urge to arrest on sight. Used to fight for Megatron, one of the most terrible warriors ever to stalk the face of Cybertron. Granted an amnesty under the Reintegration Act. Risk of future criminal activity off the scale." A first for MTMTE is on page 18, where Tailgate has his first panic attack. This is the perfect time to mention how I love Tailgate's panic attack representation. Like, I don't like how he has to go through panic attacks, but I love seeing the representation he brings. Sometimes I've had panic attacks that I've calmed down because I thought of Tailgate and thought more about Transformers and calmed myself down because of how much I love Transformers. Also, Swindle makes a cameo on the same page. On the next page, before takeoff, Drift says to Roddy, Red Alert wants to talk to you, something about Ratchet bringing a weapon of mass destruction on board. The only thing I can think of that Ratchet brought on board that could be classified as a weapon of mass destruction is Whirl. That's hilarious and not wrong. Though it could just be Red Alert's paranoia and it's actually just some medical equipment. After the quantum engines malfunction and bots spill out of the hole, Rodimus says, "No one dies on my watch." Oh, the tragic irony of that statement. At the end of issue 1, we get the future message from issue 38. The one where the crew is warning our heroes. The warning to not open the coffin. The warning to not let skids get taken. The warning to not go to Delphi. The warning to not look in the basement. The warning to watch out for Brainstorm. Not a single warning was heard. It was just a faint echo in Prowl's office. MTMTE making me cry once again. James Roberts is gonna have to pay for my therapy. I mean, I've mentioned MTMTE to my therapist before. She already knows how it affects me. Well, the first episode of this ends on a somber note. That was small things and more than meets the eye that you might have missed. I hope to continue this series. In the comments, tell me little things you noticed in this issue or further issues. Anyway, I'm out. Till all are one.